Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, and for the first time in what seems ages, I'm back in the studio. I've just been so ill for so long, it's like, no, is it ever getting better? Well, I am definitely on the way up, and so decided that I'm going to see if I can do several, not going to spend all day here, but I'm going to do several videos in the studio just to get back into the swing of things. Now, the first story I want to talk about is Joanna Cherry. She is like a pit bull. She's not letting this go. She's so adamant about the misogyny in the SNP and how her treatment or how she is being treated is very indicative of the whole party, the rot at the centre. She stood up for women's rights and was blasted for it by the leadership. Strange when the person doing the blasting was also a woman. You'd think maybe that she would understand the problems, but apparently not. Nicola Sturgeon, of course, had no problem at all in abusing her own MPs, MSPs, anyone around her. She's a nasty bit of work. But now that she's free and unshackled, Joanna Cherry is calling it out for what it is, and she's telling the truth, and it's very refreshing to see people like Joanna Cherry tell the truth. She's one of the few I actually respect, and so I think we will pay attention to her. I think she's gone from politics forever. I don't think she'll return, so it could be her little swan song. So let's have a look. Now, when I say I think she's gone from politics, I mean mainstream politics, sort of Parliament or possibly Hollywood. I don't think she'll stand anymore, but I don't think she'll be out of politics for good. She is a KC. She's a very clever woman, very dedicated woman, and I think that she will now probably lead some kind of campaign on women's rights, on the safety of women and girls, that sort of thing. She's very friendly, of course, with J.K. Rowling, and perhaps that they can put their combined skills and talents together and do some good, and I do hope so. It's nice to see someone standing up on the side of decency, isn't it? So anyway, Joanna Cherry says the SNP has an issue with stinking misogyny as tensions rise after election defeat, and she's hit out after she was branded a pathetic, narcissistic, abusive loser by an ex-staff member for another former SNP MP. Yeah, because you got to attack Joanna Cherry because she dared say something against the SNP. How dare she come out and attack the blessed party? It's a one-party cultist state, isn't it? If you go in, it literally is a cult of thou shalt not attack the party. Thou shalt not deviate in thought from the leader. Thou shalt not. It's just full of them. You can just imagine them having some kind of gated community. If they were in the States, honestly, it'd be, the FBI and the ATF would be round them, Former SNP MP said she will not miss the stinking misogyny of some party members after losing her seat at last week's general election. And Joanna Cherry was one of dozens of nationalists unseated on July the 4th. And to this day, I look back fondly and watch the results come in and seeing their sad little faces. They knew it was coming. They must have known. They had, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but wasn't it 14 consecutive election and by-election defeats at all levels? MP, MSP, council. Since Hamza Yousaf came in, they didn't win a single one. 14 straight defeats. And of course, it was always destined to be. Once you start on a losing streak, people start perceiving you as losers. And people don't want to align themselves that way. And it's now, I think, come to a point where you've got to be embarrassed to say that you support the SNP. It's almost a shameful hidden thing, isn't it? Who do you support? SNP. Was that the SNP? No, I didn't say that. And then they walk away. It's like, it's like being, oh yes, I know he likes touching children, but he's a great singer. Do you want to be in my gang? No thanks, Gary. It's like that. Anyway, a former Scottish government minister said the misogyny she had experienced almost very nearly broke me, she said. Cherry shared the outburst from Derek Thompson, who previously worked in the office of Margaret Ferrier, as an example of the abuse she regularly receives on social media. The former member of Edinburgh South West previously claimed Nicola Sturgeon owed the SNP an apology for failing to capitalise on public dissatisfaction Words are hard and reading is harder. With Brexit and Tory vitriol at Westminster. They had goals. They had open goals, but Sturgeon was so obsessed with independence, she couldn't attack anything else because it wasn't focused on independence. And that was the problem. And you daren't criticise, and this is the problem, you couldn't criticise Sturgeon. To criticise Sturgeon was the worst crime in their litany. It was a capital offence, and that's why, of course, they've gone down the pan so extraordinarily, spectacularly, and joyously. Cherry was a long-term critic of the Scottish Government's policies on gender and has been on the receiving end of a backlash from other independent supporters. Responding to the former MP on social media, Thompson raged, "Do one, you pathetic, narcissistic, abusive loser. History will fast forget you." Here's the thing. I suspect history will forget Thompson before it forgets Joanna Cherry, because Joanna Cherry is on the right side of history. She's standing up for the protection of women and children, unlike Thompson, who wants to harm them by encouraging men into women's changing rooms. Yeah, I think there's only one abuser here, and it isn't Cherry, it's Thompson. And it's the whole of the SNP who failed to stand up for women's rights, and that's the problem. They seem to think that women are acceptable to be exposed to by men in changing rooms. It's acceptable to have the auras of women put into cells with women. They seem to think that's acceptable. They have a strange idea of what women's safety is about. They have no idea of what women's rights are. Sharing a screenshot of this message, Cherry said, "I won't miss the stinking misogyny of some of the men I've had to work with in the SNP. Those of us with careers to return to are fortunate." And of course, as I say, she was a KC. She'll go back into law, but I think she'll also, stand up and fight for the rights. I think she'll take that mantle on. She says, "Derek might care to consider how this will look to a potential future employer." Ooh, zing and sting. I'll leave that there. We'll come up. We'll round off. But we'll draw it to a conclusion. But she's right. He's wrong. And I don't believe anyone can deny that there's misogyny, riven, and hate generally riven through the whole of the SNP. There always has been. Exacerbated mainly, of course, by Nippy. Anyway, coming up. I think over the next few days, possibly even weeks, there's going to be a lot more people coming out from, behind the woodwork, under the, crawling out from wherever they are, and revealing the truth about the SNP and showing it to be just basically a hate-filled cultist organisation. And I think the pressure will be on for it to go. I don't think it can survive now. It just simply is falling apart at the seams. There's no coherence anymore. Certainly they don't have a leader capable of leading. They haven't had for some time. And without the cash being injected on a regular basis, they're going to find it very hard to maintain this organisation, which I think is very akin to the National Socialists, and seems to be operating on the same lines. Hail Swinney. Hey ho! Thanks very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.